after the war ended, they found that it is time that we try to get the children out into wherever they belong, you know. And they had a Swiss woman in charge of the home then later. But she needed us to help her because she was old and she didn't know anything. So finally we did that. But then afterward, they didn't need me anymore, you know. And I went and got a little apartment in Hayden, in town, and I took Anita with me. And we lived in Hayden, like any other. You know, we became some money, we could live on it, and we had very good time.
What happened to a lot of the other, most of the other children
Lots of the children went to Israel, and a lot of the big group of children went to Israel.
Why?
Because they wanted to go to Israel.
Were they orphans?
They were partly orphans, and partly where their parents had gone to Israel already, and they wanted to go to Israel. And quite a group went to Israel. Some went to other places where they wanted to go. They were shipped there. And we stayed in Hayden, Anita and I. And we had some very nice friends there, I remember that. And then finally we got in touch with Ralph, with my father, and they arranged everything for us to come.
How old was Anita at that point, approximately?
Anita at the time was 13. Yeah.
And how did you, when you left Hayden, how did you...
Hayden is a dorf. It's not a city. But it's very nice. It has a couple of schools. It's very, very pretty.
When you and Anita left Hayden,
yeah,
on your journey to New York,
yeah,
how did you leave, and where did you stop first?
No, that all helped us. They got us the tickets to go to Paris. They wanted that I wanted to go to America. So I had first to go to Paris, and from Paris I had to go. My boat went from France. That was all arranged from the Jewish people there. That was all arranged. Jewish people did a lot there. They did a lot for us.
What did you do in Paris? Why did you stop
In
Paris?
Paris, we were only on the way to America. We were only in Paris. We didn't do anything. We saw some friends which we knew there. For 4 days we were there, and then we took the boat.
Who were the friends that you saw?
The friends were friends from Germany who had escaped earlier. And one friend was a client from Hugo, and he was very wealthy, and he had already bought a new business, and he had almost a chateau there, and he wined and dined us until we went away. You know, we went long in Paris at the time.
That wasn't the watch company, was it?
Huh?
The watches?
The watcher?
The man? Didn't you know the people? Anyway, what happened? To tell us the story about what happened in bed in Paris.
In Paris? Yeah, in Paris we could find my cousin, my uncle, and my aunt, with their 2 sons, were during the war in Paris and had an apartment there. But they had to go to a camp during the war, but nothing happened to the apartment. The apartment was still available when we came, so we got the apartment. There was nobody there, not my aunt, not my uncle, not my cousin. One of my older cousins was already in England, and my younger cousin was in the Marquis. That was the people who fought against the French people who wanted the Jews out. That was the Marquis. You know, that was, what do you call it?
Underground.
The underground, right. He was already in the Marquis. But funny enough, the whole apartment was like it was when my uncle and my aunt walked out. The bread was already stale or something like it. It was on the table, everything.
How did you get access to the apartment?
And we knew that, and we got into the apartment. We just walked in.
It was unlocked?
Yeah, it was unlocked.
But they were sent to a concentration camp.
They asked us where we want to go, and I said my aunt and my uncle lived there. I didn't know where my aunt and my uncle were at the time, but my aunt and my uncle were there, and they let us go there. We just went there, and we slept there, and the first night I slept with Anita in one bed, and that poor kid woke up, and she was covered from top to bottom with bug bites. I didn't have one. I did not have one bug bite. Nothing touches me. They know I don't like them, but no, they had nothing to do. Something with my blood is something that they don't like. So she was bitten up. But we had a good time, and we went, so then we knew already where the boat went. It was all arranged. The boat trips and on that and that day, and we knew already what to do. And we had, I think, about a week in Paris. And Paris was also nothing to eat. There was, what did they have? They had sometimes some kind of a, it was not to eat. You couldn't even eat it. But a client of Hugo's was going before, long before. Hugo had helped them getting to Paris, and he had opened a very big business on the Madeleine. Madeleine is one of the busiest places in France, in Paris. And he had opened this watch and all kind of things, shop, and he made a lot of money. And he had bought already a castle and things like that. And he knew, I called him, and he knew that we were there, so he took care of us. He invited us, he did everything, and so we went hungry.
Do you remember his name?
Yeah, Hershkovitz. And I mean, I visited them later with Milo. I mean, we always visited them when we came to Paris. And they were they liked Milo very much, Hugo very much. I mean, they were their lawyer in Berlin. And so until we were not long, we were maybe a week in Paris, I don't think even a week. And then they brought us to the boat, and then we were on the boat. But there were only women on the boat, war brides, and like we, and children from camps and so on, who went to America. That was our trip to America.
Do you remember when you got off the boat in New York? Do you remember?
Very little. I must say this is really something. I remember that when I saw my brother and my father there. That I remember very well.
What was that like?
Well, what was it like? I was glad to see them.
They were waiting for you?
Yeah, they knew we were coming.
It must have been a very emotional reunion.
Yeah, it wasn't so much. My father was not such an emotional man. And I'm not that emotional either. Anita neither. But it was a nice reunion. And then we went with my father. And,
do you remember the crossing at all? Was the
the
ocean
crossing
cross?
was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Was pretty, but she was okay. She was okay. And I was okay too. We didn't eat much because it's not because we didn't get it, but we couldn't. So it was. I remember only that we didn't eat much, but we were okay. The whole trip was okay.
So once you got to New
So
York,
we went from Southampton, no, not from Southampton, from Le Havre to New York. And I remember that seeing New York for the first time. That I never forget. That was a very emotional thing. But we were very nicely, we were not detained or anything. We could go right away into the place where our things were, and our parents and our people stand around there, and they could come to us right away. So that was very easy.
What year was
I
this?
only remember it was terribly hot. Terribly hot.
Do you remember the year? What month and year was this?
What year was it?
46?
Must have been.
46 or 47?
Hmm?
46 or
So
47?
yeah, it must be in the end of the
Summer?
40s, I think.
And the summer?
Yeah, it was, no, it was May. May 9th, I think, or
Did the
something.
ship come into New York Harbor? Did you go to Ellis Island? What was that?
No, we got into New York Harbor. We deboarded from New York Harbor, that I know. And then my father took us to us. But we didn't stay long there.
Where?
He didn't like that.
Where did your father take you?
My father lived on 110th Street. And he took us there, and I think, no, that's not true. My brother and my father were there, and my brother took us to his house in Mount Vernon. And she was very happy that I came because I could take of her children, you know. But I said to Anita, we won't stay here very long. And one day, maybe I was there a week or something like that, I said, I'm going to look for a job. And I went to New York, and when I came to Grand Central, I asked, where's the New York Times? And the people said, you have to go here, and there's across this street and that street, and there's the New York Times. So I came to the New York Times, and I put on an advertising for a job as a whatever. I don't remember anymore quickly. And I got two jobs, one in Westchester and one in Connecticut. I got the letters for these two jobs. And I think my sister-in-law drove me to the first one. And the first one was a very hoity-toity lady, not Jewish, and in Westchester. And she explained to me, and it sounded okay. And then I said, where would I sleep and what would I do? And she said, oh, you would sleep in the other house. We have two houses. In the other house belongs to my husband. And I said, I was a young woman, nothing doing. I'm not sleeping with a strange man in one house, and the lady of the house who chased them out. So I said right away, no, I wouldn't like this job. And then we went to Connecticut, where the Shockens lived, and there I got the job.
Where in Connecticut?
In Stamford. We had a gorgeous home. A gorgeous home. It was pretty much out of Stamford, and they had also two houses. They had the main house, and they had a separate house where the people lived, and we had a lovely apartment, Anita and I, and they were German Jews, very wealthy German Jews, who had already made their living there, and they were very, very nice to us. I mean, they saw what we wear, that we came from the same part of the country and so on. So they really treated us like family. They really treated us nice. We were very lucky to be with her. I still talk to her. I still phone her, and we still talk to her.
How long did you work for her?
She had three children which I take care of. Miriam, Naomi, and Eva. And she lives now with Eva someplace I have the address. I have her address.
In Connecticut?
Huh?
She lives in Connecticut still?
No, she lives now at something in I don't know. I can't tell you. I have to look at my telephone book. And she wrote to me. She writes to me for holidays. And she calls Anita. She was together with Anita. I mean, this was really a nice relationship. They were really, they know what we had gone through, what happened to us, and they They treated us very, very nicely.
And Mom went to school?
Not like, huh?
And Mom went to school in Stanford?
Yeah, Mom was very, like she was treated like a kid of the house there. She went back to school there and everything was fine.
How long did you live there?
Not very long, 2 years maybe.
And
then then I got my own apartment.
Where? Where was your apartment? How did you get an apartment?
I got it through a friend of mine who was how was it? Yeah, I got it on Gramercy Park. I got my first apartment on Gramercy Park, and because his boss owned the house, a friend of mine, also from Germany. I mean, in the meantime, we got together with people who were also we knew from Germany and so on. And he got me this job, and I got this apartment in New York, very small but beautiful, right on the park. And it was very, very small. And Anita went to school in Washington Irving High School there. And she was already Americanized. That was very fast. She was very fast Americanized. She went to school and she belonged there.
And where did you work then?
And I worked as in the beginning I learned how to massage, and I was a massage. And I had good jobs. I had 2 jobs I had one job in Connecticut, in New Rochelle, which I had for a long time, until I really couldn't do it anymore. It was too much. I had to go very early in the morning, had to get up, had to get to Grand Central, had to train, and it was really tough. It was tough, but I mean, I could do it. And I had my kid with me, She was with me. I mean, we were still a pair. Nobody had taken her away from me. That was always utmost in my mind, that we don't get separated. And we didn't.
You worked at the Barbizon Hotel also, right?
For a certain time, we worked at Rolf's, my brother's house. And I said, that doesn't work, I said. Then I started looking for another job. We were about 2-3 weeks at my brother's house, and she treated me like do this, do that. I said, no, that's not for me. If I work for other people, I don't mind that, but not for my family. I don't work as a maid or something like that. So she was very mad. At that time, she started to hate me, I think, because I didn't stay with her. It's an interesting story if you really think about it. How much I mean, I tell you this in a short while, but how much was in between? This is unbelievable.
What was in between? We want to hear all of it.
Yeah. But then I had my own apartment, and I worked wherever I wanted to work. Then I worked in Wall Street for a long time.
What did you do on Wall Street?
Wall Street? I was a girl Friday. I did everything. Everything.
Were there lots of...
I worked for Franz Klein, was from Czechoslovakia. He was a banker from Czechoslovakia, and he was... and I fit in beautifully. It was no trouble. No trouble for Anita, it was no trouble for me. We didn't have any trouble fitting in.
And then you met Milo.
And then I found Milo again. Then I heard that Milo is, that was a very funny story. I don't remember who called me and told him that he is in town. And then I called him, and he was very delighted to hear from me, and we met. And then it developed. We married, and that was it.
I don't understand. You had known him before, or someone was...
I knew him from before. I met him in Switzerland. They were from Austria, and they were refugees in Switzerland. His father, his mother, and he. And I met him, I was with Edi, with my friend Edi, you know, and he had brought me to this, and I had to go somehow to the office where Milo worked. And I got to know Milo at the time. And it developed into something, and finally he married me. And
How did he propose to you?
how is he supposed to?
How did he propose?
He asked me whether I want to marry him.
Where were you when he asked you?
Huh?
Was it romantic?
Yeah, it was very nice. It was very nice. I remember the shocks at the time. At the first couple of months, we lived in the old man shack, and this is actually the ground of the. They had like Macy's. You had department stores, you know, in different cities in Germany. It was very wealthy people. And then one day they had a party. I don't even remember that anymore, though. And there where Milo was invited there, I don't know. And I got to know him, and we got together, and he took me out, and Anita was in school, everything was fine. The Schockens let me learn how to drive a car. Everything was really very, very, very okay. There was nothing that I could say it was so that I felt below me. I did not. I mean, work did not faze me. Never did faze me. And it was just one of the nice things. He got to know the Schockens. He took me out and things like that, you know.
Didn't you work in Scarsdale, and didn't you and Anita live in Scarsdale at one point?
Who?
In Scarsdale. Did you live with a family in Scarsdale?
I lived with a
Army
family
Road?
in Connecticut.
Did you work? Didn't Mom said that you lived on Army Hill Road in Scarsdale?
Where?
Army Hill Road.
In Scarsdale?
I heard something about Scarsdale as well. I thought you lived in Scarsdale.
No, we lived in. No, we lived not. Army Hill Road is in Connecticut. It's in
Stanford?
Stamford, Connecticut.
No,
We lived with the
Scarsdale.
Schockens.
Off of Central Avenue in Hartsdale, Scarsdale, that area.
We lived with the Schockens. The Schockens had a house on Old Army Road in Scarsdale. And that's where we lived.
In Scarsdale or Stanford?
No, Stamford was their father and mother's house. And there we were only for the first very short time.
So most of
And
the time-
after that, we moved to Scarsdale and lived in Scarsdale. And she went to school, not in Scarsdale, but she went to school in...
New Rochelle?
What?
New Rochelle?
No, wait a minute.
Yonkers?
Large
Yeah,
town.
Yonkers, yeah. She had to go to Yonkers to school. She went to school to Yonkers, and then they were asked, what is your mother doing? She had to say, my mother's a maid. Then she didn't like to say that. But no, she was in school, very good school. She was in a good school. She had a nice friend there. But we didn't have any money. I mean, I made money. I made salary, but I didn't have much money. So whatever was, but it was, you know, they were such nice people that you couldn't say anything bad about them. They were really wonderful people. So that's all I can tell you.
I have one more question. Do you remember when Anita met Alan?
Yes,
And you remember the funny story?
Anita met Alan, and that was a whole romantic story.
There's something funny in
She
it.
was working, my friend Jules Hopp got a job for Anita in his place, and she was a job working there. And it was right on, you know, where the Plaza Hotel is, right in front of the Plaza Hotel is the circle with the fountain, right? And she was working there. Now that was much later already. And lunchtime she went down there and sitting there and had lunch and everything. And one day she was sitting there and Ellen came by and was talking to her, and that developed at that time. And the funny thing is that after a short time, not the whole story, she can tell you better than I can. And one day he told her that he is also a doctor for, for his brains. And who was the doctor? My brother. That was a funny story, you know. My brother was a doctor.
His psychiatrist.
And he came, the psychiatrist. And he came to Ralph and he said, listen, yesterday I met your niece. And Ralph said, what do you mean, my niece? Yeah, she's working there, and we met. And that was something like that.
Do you remember when Anita met Candy?
No, I don't remember that very well. She was working. She went swimming and things like that. I don't remember that way. But I only know that when they went out together, I said she has to be home by 10 o'clock or say 11 o'clock or something like that. So if she wasn't home by 11 o'clock, the telephone was ringing. She is coming half an hour later. I mean, they were very good about that. Very good about that.
You made her come home at 10?
No, not 10. 10 what? So they went out in the evening, go to the movies or something like that. But they always called that they are not. And I lived already in Gramercy Park at that time. At that time, I lived already in Gramercy Park.
How long did you live on Gramercy Park?
Oh, quite some time. I married there and everything. I had one apartment which was too small for the three of us. And then Anita moved out and she lived with the girls, with other girls. And Milo and I, we moved to a bigger place. No, that was already with Anita. We moved to a bigger place. And then, I had a very tiny kitchen, tiny. It was just, you just were standing here when you washed the dishes and here when you cooked. So it was really very tiny. Anyway, it was okay. And there we lived quite some time, even married. But Anita lived with her friends already then.
Is that the kitchen? Is that the apartment that
No, that we lived with a small kitchen for a long time. I remember that. And then we got a bigger apartment, but this apartment, the first apartment we had, went out to the park. That was very pretty. And the second one was in the back, and we saw the 3rd Avenue L, which came down at the time. You know, there was a 3rd Avenue L.
They took it down while you were living there?
Yeah, they took it down while we were living there. And then 3rd Avenue was free again. And then that developed. And then I got married to Milo, and Milo got us the apartment on the other side of Gramercy Park. It's a really nice apartment. So that was, it wasn't easy. It was not easy, you know. We had enough money to live. And then I worked then I started, I stopped my massaging and I worked as, wait a minute, what did I do?
You worked as a secretary.
Yeah, I worked as yeah. It was, I never was without a job, I must say. Never was without a job. And it was very, very nice apartment. We loved our apartment. Very nice. And then everything developed. Is there anything else there?
But when you first came to New York, did anyone treat you weird or?
Anyone treat me?
Did anyone treat you weird or not nice?
No,
because you
no,
were
no.
A Jew from Germany?
Maybe the only person that treated me the way she wanted to, that I sleep with her husband in the second house. And that I didn't intend to do.
And
So,
your sister-in-law.
huh?
And your sister-in-law.
Yeah, and that was the only thing that I said right away, no, I'm very sorry, I'm not interested. And then from there, I went to the Schockens and I got the job. I mean, I always worked hard, that I must say. I always worked. But it was okay. What did your mother tell you about that? About these first years?
I think she thought
Did she tell you much about it?
She thought it was not fun for her to be.
No, of course not. It wasn't funny for her. First of all, she didn't have a father. Huh?
The tallest girl.
Yeah. No, she wasn't the tallest girl. There were other girls. I mean, she was approached when she was in Washington Irving High School. She was approached by somebody from the
Ford modeling.
Yeah.
Eileen Ford.
Yeah.
Approached her.
Yeah. She was approached at that. She wasn't interested. She didn't want to do it. And I didn't tell her to do it. I mean, it was her life. Another mother would maybe have said, you have to do it in order to make money. We were always looking for cheaper things to buy, you know? What can we do?
Where did you shop?
In Orbach's and Klein's.
Where was Orbach's and where was Klein's?
On Union Square, 14th Street. There were Klein's, there were Orbach's, and that was the stores where we could afford to buy. And then I always bought Klein's and I bought Orbach's. I never was used to anything else, because there I found the things that other people found in Macy's and other stores. Yeah. And one day my husband said to me, you know, this is already enough. You always go to these stores. Can't you go to a nice store and buy something? I said, listen, don't I have nice things to wear? I have nice things to wear, don't I? He said, please, let's go for a walk along Madison Avenue. Okay. We went for a walk on Madison Avenue, and he said, here's a nice store. And we looked in the stores. Here's a nice store, let's go in there. That store was on 57th or some Madison Avenue, right? Okay. There was a dress in the window, and he said, this would be nice on you. I said, Milo, I cannot afford this. So he said, go in. So we went in. I tried the dress on. It was very nice on me. And was this? $80 or something like that. I don't remember. It was a lot of money for me. Anyway, I said, I will think it over. Milo said, why don't you buy it? It's so pretty on you. And I said, no, I want to think it over. Anyway, we went out. The next day, I went to Klein's. And Klein's had become a new shipment in. And what shall I see? I was very good in finding things, very good. I found exactly the same dress. This was, I mean, of course, something that I said, I don't know it's my size, but I tried it on. I tried it on, it was exactly the same dress, and it cost about $37 or something like this. So I said, I buy that. That is good. So finally I come home and I said, oh, by the way, I bought that dress which you like so much. He said, oh yeah, put it on. I put it on. Yeah, that looks very good on you. Yeah, I said, but you know, it didn't cost that much. He said, why didn't they give it to you cheaper? Because why should they go it? No, but I bought it in Klein's. Because he wanted me to get away from Klein's, you know. So anyway, he said, I apologize.
We come from a great line of shoppers.
I was a very good shopper. She is a good shopper. I was a very good shopper. He said, I apologize. Because from now on, he didn't say anything. Where did you buy it? He didn't even ask me. He knew I would not spend more than I can afford. And that was it.
It's a good story, Grandma.
It's a nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was very aggressive at this time. You know, I thought, why should I pay for it something $80 if I can get it for $35? I mean, it's the same thing. He liked it. Let's get it.
Tell us about how cute Eva was when she was little.
Eva, they were a little. She was always very cute. She was always very cute. But you know, Anita didn't have much money at that time. At that time, she didn't. Remember? No. Remember the store in the place on, where was it? On West End Avenue, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a nice neighborhood. It was an okay apartment.
She was so cute.
She is cute. She was very cute. But at that time, her grandmother lived. You know, Kenny's mother.
Jenny.
Yeah. I could never get near them. You know, I was okay with them, but they were not my type, my style and everything.
Was Jenny Candeloro from Italy?
Huh?
I don't think so. I don't know where she was born. She was born in the States, I think. Jenny.
Huh?
Jenny Candeloro.
I think her brother was a gangster.
I think so, too.
Her brother was a gangster. But then the brother married a woman who was very holy, like a real holy cow. I always had the holy cow.
The brother was Paul, right?
What?
Paul.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember calling.
I don't remember him.
Uncle
I
Paul?
remember somehow, yeah. I remember the woman more than him. Because she was very, I don't know how your mother got along with her. I don't know how that. But she was a fantastic cook, your grandmother.
Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny was a fantastic cook. And they had this house in Rhinebeck, which was at the time, you know, it was a beautiful house. Remember that?
Very little.
Very bigly. But the kids had a good life. They didn't have a bad life. Did you have a bad life? No, she didn't have a bad life. They weren't bad to her or something like that. The grandfather they were okay. But listen, we were Jewish people, they were Italian. That's a big difference there already, you know? But they were, I cannot complain about them, actually, because they didn't do anything bad. Candy was the one who wasn't worth anything. But he was a charming man.
Do you remember a lot of Mom's boyfriends before Candy?
Huh?
Do you remember any of Anita's boyfriends before?
Yeah, I
she met
remember.
Candy?
He was a charming guy. We went out together in the evening. He called me when they came back. He was very nice about that.
What about other boyfriends before she met Candy?
No, she didn't have. I don't remember boyfriends there. Maybe she spoke to boys or
She
something.
went to Cape Cod a lot.
Huh?
She went to Cape Cod. She was working on Cape
Yeah,
Cod.
no, that I don't know so well. Without this, you have to ask her.
We will. We want to know about Russ.
Who's Ross?
Johnny. Russ is a very
Who was?
cute
I don't
boy.
know anything about
A
him.
very cute boy. She has a picture.
Yeah?
Her boyfriend on Cape Cod is.
Yeah, I believe
son.
that.
He was a cutie.
But she was always very quiet, withdrawn. You know, we had a wonderful relationship. There's no question about it. I mean, that was one thing, what I did. I left my husband for my child. There's no question about it. Because even if I really would have loved Hugo so much, even if he would tell me, don't come back, I would have gone back. But I didn't. I loved my child more. I wanted to be with her. I didn't want to leave her there. But I mean, she was always a little on the quiet side. I didn't know anything about her boyfriends. I only know when she met the big guy there.
Jesus Christ.
And the wedding, I mean, Anita said, what did you do with it? The wedding, I didn't have anything to do with that wedding. And actually, the mother of the bride always had to do everything. First of all, where did I have the money? I didn't have the money, right? I didn't have the money. I mean, I just made a living, but I didn't have money for a big wedding. And then she said, no, don't do anything. We do everything, her mother-in-law said. And then she said, I want a wedding in St. Patrick's Cathedral. So I said to her, no, that's out of the question. We are Jewish. There's no wedding in St. Patrick's Cathedral. You can count, you can do it, but without me. I'm not going into that. I didn't want to do that. That was me. So then they finally gave in. And I said, I just want a wedding with a nice lawyer or something like that. And that's what we have then later. So John Marks, he was even a Jewish judge. And he married them. That was all. But they had a great time having the wedding. They had a great time going on their trips. They had a great time. They had the 3 babies.
The end.
They were not bad people, the Candelovers. They were not bad people. He was a guy who had still the possibility to have this place there in the, where the market was. Yes, he had everything, yes. And he had houses and he had all kind of things. They had a very nice apartment. I remember their apartment was very nice. Big apartment. Very nice apartment. A big dog they had.
Crash.
Yeah.
He must have crashed.
They were nice. I liked them.
Where was that apartment?
In the Bronx. It's not far, you know where? It's not far where the courthouse is.
Right.
The courthouse is here on this side, and here was a street, a small street. It was a very nice, quiet street.
It's not such a nice area now, I don't think.
It's not so nice, huh? That was a nice area. It was not bad. It was not bad. And the apartment was beautiful. It was a very big apartment. They had a lot of money.
Gangsters.
And I remember my friend Meta's husband, Kenny got a car for them, and he was always very helpful and very. But it was a little. What did she tell you? She had another boyfriend?
No, before Candy.
What?
Before Candy.
An attorney?
Before she met Candy.
And before she left Candy?
Met Candy.
I didn't know that.
Before she met Candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a young girl.
No, of course she was.
Boyfriend. You're not taping anymore.